Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Okay, a special broadcast, emergency broadcast, really. 10 people dead out in Tumbler, BC, mass shooting. Angie Clowry from BC, this is in your territory. You're joining us live here tonight. I appreciate you coming on to help us with us tonight, Angie. And before we get into anything, Angie, there is a live feed right now with Premier David Eby. Let's bring this up and catch this right now in real time. Here we are. 1 second. Here we go.
Ridge want to know everything possible to try to make sense of what happened in Tumbler Ridge today. They have work to do on the ground. They've advised that the community is safe and secure, that the threat is over from this incident, but the work for them and for the community is ongoing. They'll provide details as often and as comprehensively as they can going forward, and we'll follow the police lead on being able to provide additional information.
And knowing how devastated the community must be, what is your biggest concern right now?
You know, my biggest concern is for the people who have to live with this tragedy, those who are physically injured, for their physical safety, and for those who have endured a trauma that will be with them for the rest of their lives, and how we can support them going forward. That's why I ask for people across the country to do what we can to send love and support to that community right now, because they sure need it.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my question. I'm a reporter from the Canadian Press. I wonder for Premier and Nina, do you know more details about the victims? Like, are they students? And will you and Nina travel to Tumbler Ridge in upcoming days to visit the families and the victims' families? Yes.
Yes, I expect to be up to Tumbler Ridge as quickly as possible to visit the community and provide support however I can. Police advise at this point they're still reaching out to families, still reaching out to relatives, next of kin, and so at this point aren't able to share any details about those who have passed away. But I expect that we'll be hearing that information shortly from police.
Thank you. And during your conversation with Prime Minister Carney, what did he say to you? Thank you.
Well, the Prime Minister is about what the people of Tumbler Ridge are facing. He is following this very closely, had received briefings from RCMP as well, and has offered any assistance that the federal government can offer to the province and supporting the people of Tumbler Ridge going forward. I was very grateful for his outreach. He reached out right away, and his commitment to support British Columbians in this moment.
Next. Already stretched. What specifically is being done to ensure those healthcare providers who no doubt had to witness horrible things today are getting the relief and support they need?
I had the opportunity to speak with Premier Smith in Alberta, who had offered assistance through healthcare in Alberta. Tumbler Ridge is close to the border, and a major regional healthcare center is there in Grand Prairie. And very grateful to the Albertans who offered to step up and provide support in this moment as well. BCEHS will be providing an update this evening about the supports for individuals who were injured and brought to healthcare facilities. But at this point, I've shared all that I can and all the information I have.
Do you have a follow-up, Jordan?
Thank you. And a question, if I may, for the Public Safety Minister. I'm hearing from sources the RCMP detachment in Tumbler Ridge is as small as 5 members. Can you confirm that, and also talk a bit more about the response of those frontline officers? I think you mentioned they were on the scene within 2 minutes.
Thanks, Jordan. I'll pass it over to Nina, but I'd like to just thank the RCMP officers who responded. My understanding from Mr. McDonald is that they were on the scene within 2 minutes, and that fast response time to the school meant that what was already quite a devastating tragedy was prevented from being significantly worse. And as a police officer attending a shooting scene like that, you're putting yourself at risk to protect the lives of other people. And it's heroic work. And I am very grateful that the police responded so quickly and so fearlessly and executed their training to protect as many people as possible at the school today. I'll pass it over to Nina.
Thank you for the question. And I'll add that this is a small, tight-knit community with a small RCMP detachment as well, who responded in 2 minutes, no doubt saving lives today. And just to again thank the responding officers for their courage, for their dedication, their professionalism. The RCMP has surged resources, and we will continue to work with the RCMP to ensure that they have all the resources that they need to carry out the investigation, which now begins now that the active threat has been rescinded.
Justine Hunter, Globe and Mail.
Hi, thank you. Do we know anything about the weapon that was involved?
I don't have any information from RCMP about the weapon that was involved in this incident.
Do you have a follow-up, Justine?
I guess just if I know you don't have the details on the victims, but do we even have an age range? Do we have a sense of how many teachers, how many students involved?
I asked the RCMP a very similar question, Justine, and they advised at this point, given that they're still notifying families, relatives, that they were unable to release that information as they wanted to make sure they notified the families first.
Next, we'll head to Trent Ernst from Tumbler Ridge Lines.
Hi, this might be better targeted at BCEHS, but 12 hours ago, the biggest story here in Tumbler Ridge was the fact that there was no coverage in the emergency room after 5 o'clock. Is it, just going to be shipping people off to Dawson Creek and Fort St. John?
So the best information that we can share at this point is that BCEHS will be providing an update this evening about those 25 individuals who received various injuries, physical injuries today. I don't have any other information to share. The health center in Tumbler Ridge is a small center. We had offers of assistance from Alberta. I know that there were medical evacuation services made available. Air ambulance and so on, but I don't have any details about any of that, and I would encourage you to wait for the EHS update.
Trent, do you have a follow-up?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Next, we'll head to Cecilia Hua from City News.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. For Minister Krieger, we heard that there was additional police response from neighboring communities as well. So if you can elaborate more on that. We heard there were police from Chetwynd and helicopter support as well.
Yes, thank you. As I said, this is a small community with a small detachment, and again, grateful for the officers' quick response. And they were indeed supported by RCMP from surrounding communities, while the alert to shelter in place remained. And certainly during that time, ensuring the safety of all community members was the utmost priority. And now that that alert has come to an end, we'll continue to ensure that RCMP resources are made available to support the investigation.
Cecilia, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, local RCMP have not yet released the suspect's identity, but we're hearing from multiple people within the community that there seems to be a consensus of, who this might be. So I was wondering if you, in your conversation with the RCMP, if they plan on releasing that identity tonight or in the next few hours.
I don't know what RCMP plans are about releasing the identity of the individual that is the suspected shooter in this incident.
One moment. We'll go back.
Wants this information, needs this information to try to make sense of what happened. But I think everybody's focus right now is making sure that the families in Tumbler Ridge, the community, is looked after.
That concludes tonight's event.
Great. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Angie Clowry joining us from British Columbia. This is sort of in your territory. Can you, first of all, Angie, we know we have 10 people dead as a result of this mass shooting at this school in Tumbler Ridge. Can you explain to our viewers what the geography is here? Where is this community?
Yeah, it's in northern BC, so it's about 2 hours away from Fort St. John, about 169 kilometers. So from Kelowna, for example, it's over 1,000 kilometers, and it's a 12-hour drive from here. So it's a smaller community. There's under 2,500 people, so very tight knit. Yeah, so it's a beautiful little area. They have used to have an amazing festival called Grizz Fest, where they had music festivals there that I've attended a couple times.
I see. So this happened, I guess, around 1:20 p.m. This afternoon, and that would be local time, Pacific time. And this would involve a single shooter. What else can you share with us to kind of fill in the blanks there and give people the background of what happened today?
Well, it sounds like someone did go into the school and took their own life, and it sounds like at what we can assume is their residence, there's also 2 people that were found dead there as well. So 10 total, including the shooter, and there's 25 who have been injured, and they've been taken to other hospitals, is my understanding. So, and as you just heard, Tumbler Ridge, like anywhere else, is having healthcare challenges. So their health center was closed after 5, is my understanding. So it sounds like Dawson Creek and Fort St. John would, and probably Prince George as well, would have received some of the injured.
So yeah, as a small community, they likely have a small facility for healthcare. Do they even have like a full up hospital there? Do people need to travel outside of the community?
That I'm not sure, but I do know that the health clinic closed after 5 is what they were just saying with Premier Eby. Also, too, the interesting thing is when the call came through, it sounds like the RCMP were there within 2 minutes. So that's something else, is not only do they have a small healthcare center there, but they also have a small RCMP detachment. And I gave a call to my girlfriend that I used to be roommates with in Fort St. John, because that's pretty close to home. It's 2 hours away. And just wanted to check in on her and see how she was doing. And she said, as anywhere in BC, and I think across Canada, the crime has, increased over the last couple of years. And she said at about, I think it was close to 1:30 or 2, officer drove by absolutely crazy, and she's like, either there's a mass accident or a gunman. And then another officer went by. So that's 2 hours away from Tumbler. And about a half an hour later, they got the alert. So the alert told everyone to shelter in place. So yeah, that's super, it's traumatic for anyone, right? And you have to think of it, it's a community, 2,500 people, tiny like my hometown, not a lot of RCMP, not a lot of healthcare workers. And you have to know that everyone knows each other in that community. So it's devastating for the area, devastating for the Peace region, for the province. And, I went and looked online. This has already went around the world as well. Cause, in Canada, we don't have a lot of school shootings. There has been some. But yeah, this kind of changes the face of, our country in a way.
Well, this is, I think, the largest mass school shooting in Canadian history, taking place this afternoon. The emergency order, the shelter-in-place order, issued at 5:45 p.m. again, local time, and now I see that that has been rescinded. They've lifted the emergency alert in Tumbler Ridge, canceled it. And that was, I believe this is about an hour ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And they give you the details on the RCMP website here as to what it was actually canceled at 5:45. My mistake. It was issued at 1:20 p.m.
Yeah, RCMP were called at 1:20. It took them 2 minutes to get there for the active shooter in Tumbler Ridge. An emergency alert was issued soon after, which has been since lifted. Officers arriving at the schools located multiple victims. Mounties said in a release, an individual believed to be the shooter was found dead of what police said was self-inflicted injuries. According to police, 6 individuals, not including the suspect, were located dead inside the school. Another victim died while being transported to hospital. 2 additional victims were airlifted to hospital from the school with serious injuries. Approximately 25 others are being assessed and triaged at local medical centers for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they have identified a secondary location believed to be connected with the school shooting, where 2 additional victims were located deceased in the home. Officers are conducting further searches of additional homes and properties to determine whether anyone else may have been injured or otherwise linked to today's events. Students and staff are now out of Tumbler Ridge Secondary, and police are working closely with the school district to support coordinate a reunification of the families. My understanding is also RCMP resources were brought in from Grand Prairie, so that's Alberta and other local areas. So yeah, just a devastating situation for such a tight-knit and small community. It's a mining town. Yeah.
And I guess we don't have the names of any of the victims or the suspect who took their own life tonight either. So we still have a lot of holes in this story, blanks to fill in, as the investigation is really just beginning.
Yeah, and there is obviously gossip that's going around if you go on either X or TikTok or anything. So we'll have to wait and see how those things unfold. But if you watched it earlier, I think I started to send you messages, and there were 7 dead at that time. And then by the time there was 8, then I sent you another headline, there was 9, and now there's 10. In my understanding, one of those did succumb to injuries on the way to the hospital. So it's just a devastating situation.
Now, we just heard from British Columbia Premier David Eby, and other politicians have made statements or they have posts on social media. Tonight I see that Jordan Keeley, MLA.
So yeah, he's for Peace River North. So he's just he's more Fort St. John, I believe, Dawson Creek.
Okay.
So he's posted.
And I can show you what he put up. There it is right there. on his Facebook page. And he says the Tumbler Ridge shooting has claimed 9 lives, 10 now. And the shooter seems to have died from self-inflicted wounds. This is tragic. My thoughts go to everyone affected by this horrific incident. Condolences to the family and loved ones of those precious lives lost. My heart goes out to all of you. The trauma experienced by anyone involved is huge. I'm sure there will be something coming out from the community to help people cope. In the meantime, talk to people you trust, share the burden. You are not alone. The RCMP has a volunteer-based service called Victim Services. They can help people navigate the traumatic events. He puts a link in there. I'll post other resources as I hear of them, and link to the RCMP press release. And they're right up, and he shares it all here. We've kind of gone over this information already. Do we have any other politicians posting tonight or making statements?
Yeah, we have Larry Neufeld. So he's the actual MLA for Peace River South. So that does include Tumbler Ridge. And he notes, I want to provide an update regarding the serious incident in Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police have confirmed they are responding to an active shooter incident. Police have indicated that the original suspect is believed to be deceased, and officers are continuing to work to determine whether any additional suspects may be involved. At this time, there's no confirmed information on the number of people injured. So this is obviously earlier than what Jordan did. Residents in Tumbler Ridge are being asked to remain indoors while additional police resources are deployed from neighboring detachments. Anyone who encounters a potential suspect should not approach and should call 911 immediately. The Peace River School District has confirmed that both Tumbler Ridge Secondary and Tumbler Ridge Elementary were on lockdown and secured. He was in direct contact with the Solicitor General to receive updates and to ensure all necessary provincial resources are being made available to support local law enforcement and emergency responders. My thoughts remain with the students, families, school staff, and first responders and the entire Tumbler Ridge community. As this situation continues to develop, I will share further updates and become available throughout channels. And I believe Larry actually noted after he's closely monitoring the situation. RCMP have confirmed multiple victims, and the alert had been lifted, and that he was heading up to be of service to anyone in regards to family who are struggling in the aftermath of today's events. Please reach out for support. You are not alone, and help is available. And that was one thing I was going to note here too, is I do have some phone numbers and such that we can touch on too, that note 310-6789, that's the Northern BC crisis line. Also the suicide hotline is 1-800-suicide. You can also phone, I believe it's 988. You can either text it or call it on your cell phone in Canada.
Okay, and let's just do a scroll through social media X. See what we have posted here. 10 dead in Tumbler Ridge school shooting, including suspected female shooter. Oh, there's my post from about an hour ago, updating people on the information there. And scrolling down, this is a picture of the school. Tumbler Ridge Secondary School.
I do have the MP for the area as well. That's Bob Zimmer. Words can't express the tragedy that has unfolded today in Tumbler Ridge. Full details are still forthcoming, and we'll know more in the days to come. My sincere thoughts and prayers go out to the victims still in hospital, and for those in Tumbler Ridge, the families who have lost loved ones today. We mourn with you.
And you can see here from these posts that the story is making headlines regionally and even internationally around the world, as you mentioned. Now, just be careful, because when I'm scrolling here, not everything is related to this story. So I should just caution you, because there are things that may look like they're related, but there are other incidents from other locations and even other dates.
And also some things are AI as well. That's the alert that came out I believe just before 2:00 today.
Yeah. Yeah, they initiated a public alert, Tumbler Ridge, surrounding area active shooter alert. Suspect described as female in a dress with brown hair. Shelter in place. Report anything suspicious to police. Do not attend school unless directed. Do not approach. Call 911. Now, that suspect description is one of the things sort of driving the rumor mill online tonight. I know that, as some people, as I'm sure many people are seeing, suggestions that the shooter was a trans male, but there's no confirmation of that. I don't see any information from police or investigators of any kind to indicate if that's true or not true. And so all I can say is I'm acknowledging the rumors, but we really need to wait to get the official information to find out what the truth is there.
And this, it's actually a trans female that is allegedly. There is a group in Chetwynd. I'll read this, but please take it with a grain of salt because it has went around X as well as other social medias, from a gal named Anna Kuniel, who says, "Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I'm from Tumbler. I moved here a few months ago, and I'm going to say the biggest tragedy that I've ever seen in my life. This young man dressed up as a girl, killed his mom, killed his brother and his sister, then decided he was going to go to the high school to make a scene. This is such a tragedy, and I hope every parent learns from this tragedy. I give my prayers to all the families that were in the school and the parents."
But see, that post suggests there was a shooting that took place at a residence or some other location.
Police have acknowledged that. There's two locations. There is a residence with two that succumbed to injuries, and then there's the remaining 8 at the school, is my understanding.
Right. Okay. So, again, that seems to mesh with the information, but we really need to wait before making any statements because we just don't know what the facts.
These are all alleged, right? And this is one thing they also posted as well, as said, keep connected to RCMP. That's who's going to be giving official statements. And while I did acknowledge this has been all around social media, we do have to do the right thing and hold back, and also know that this affects not just, it affects us. Like I've driven through Tumbler Ridge a number of times and been to events there, and it's tragic, especially when it involves children, right? Like that's the really hard part of all this. And I think we've witnessed so many in the United States that I don't want to say we get numb to it, but we kind of have. And now when it comes back to, Canadian soil and in British Columbia, to a hardworking, small, tight-knit community like Tumbler Ridge, this is really going to affect many people. And, it's a mining community. There's oil and gas up in that area as well. There's lots of people, we have friends and family that live up there. So this is a tough one. It's definitely a Canadian tragedy.
Yes, it is. Man, I'm just going to check over here for any other information. But yeah, David Eby, news conference. I'm glad we were able to come on live tonight. And I'm glad you were able to join us so we could pick up that live feed from British Columbia and the Premier, bringing us up to date. Now, you said you made some phone calls and spoke to, did you say it was a girlfriend of yours?
Yeah, when I used to work at a radio station in Fort St. John 20 years ago, and I actually bought the house I lived in from her, and then she was my roommate for about 1.5 years. So I called her just to see how she was, and she has a daughter, I believe that's in grade 11. So yeah, she said it was, she's very overwhelmed, and it's close to home. And, if your kids play sports, they play sports with those kids as well. She was a coach for MMA, kickboxing, another a bunch of, physical sports. And she did call a friend who had 4 kids, I believe in the elementary school. As soon as this went out that there was, something going on, an active shooter, that individual actually went to the school and took their kids out. And unfortunately, they were told that they did know of a young gal who was deceased due to the shooting that day. So, it's horrible.
Yeah, and this is a separate incident, but it's a story we have been following here for the past few days. The Nancy Guthrie abduction, very disturbing story. I think is maybe the right way to look at it. And I know that we have some new information on that front too. We did earlier tonight post images and a video released by the FBI, several videos of a masked suspect. And now tonight we're seeing that a person has been detained for questioning in that case. And this is following the decision to share this surveillance video from a doorbell camera. So they have detained someone for questioning. Sheriff's Department has confirmed that, and the department is not saying whether it's the same person seen in footage in that footage that we showed you earlier tonight, but it is a person of interest. And we know that as soon as that surveillance video was shared by the FBI, they got a big increase in the number of calls to law enforcement with tips and information that may have led to this arrest. So a big development there.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's been going on a week now, so I find it interesting that it's taken this long to get those photos out to the public. Do you not find that's odd? And maybe I don't understand how, and maybe there's rules and regulation. I don't know. I just find it's odd. And I read somewhere today that the Guthrie she is on the morning show, she was one that originally brought up the Epstein files, and just find it interesting that this is all happening when the documents are all being released that have a lot of missing names on them. So that's just something to think about. Hopefully she gets home safe. And and my understanding, they are willing to give a reward to get her mom back.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I saw a post, it looked like it came from Fox News, saying that the ransom Bitcoin account, that a deposit had been made to it. And that, so here, actually, I think it came from TMZ. It's odd these days how these kinds of media outlets are the ones that break stories. But here
I think they have one of the biggest newsrooms now, though.
Yes, they do, yeah.
Right? Because from experience, I recall, I can't remember when, but it could be 15 years ago now, when our news directors were all let go when I was working at Bell Media. And so the news departments completely shriveled up. And so anytime you see when TMZ is live, there's a number of people working in the background there. So they do have a lot of, I don't want to say boots on the ground, but hands on computers is probably a better term.
Yeah, that's very true. It says here, activity in Nancy Guthrie's ransom Bitcoin account, coming from TMZ. TMZ founder Harvey Levin told News Nation Tuesday there has been activity for the first time in the Bitcoin account listed in the ransom note sent to his outlet and 2 Tucson television stations regarding missing Nancy Guthrie.
So the ransom note went to TMZ, not to the family. Is that right?
No. Well, wait a second. Says the ransom note sent to his outlet and 2 Tucson televisions. Yes. So that's correct. Yes. It went to media outlets. I do recall that.
Okay.
Not just TMZ, but a couple of television stations too.
In this day and age, though, like I realize we talk about mental health a lot. Who is doing this and think they're going to get away with it? What do they think their end result is? Like, are they going to hop on SpaceX and like fly out of Earth? I that's my concern. And let's be honest, I've worked with the unhoused population, mental health and addictions for 6 years now, and there are people who, see and hear things that I know are not there. And so potentially, what else can that be? It is a mental health crisis if you think that you can kidnap someone and you can get away with it.
I suppose. I mean, I can't really, I can't give you any insight because my mind doesn't work that way. It's clear though that what we're dealing with here, I think in both of these cases is we're dealing with people who have mental health issues.
Mhm.
You've got to be crazy to do these kinds of things on some level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But, Nancy Guthrie's daughter, media personality, I think people would make an assumption that she makes a lot of money being a celebrity, and maybe they just have dollar signs in their eyes too, thinking they can hold someone hostage and demand a big payment.
I think one thing that this whole large birds from Africa story has taught me is you don't realize how many people are watching you, right? So there's so many different cameras when people are doing live feeds. There's cameras at the door, there's cameras inside, there's traffic cameras. Many people have cameras in their vehicles. So when you go to do anything, whether legal or illegal, you're being videotaped now by numerous people all the time. Even I've had my, phone on my dash if I'm going for a drive and it's beautiful. And, I live in the Okanagan. So if I'm driving by Okanagan or Cal Lake or Skaha Lake or Shuswap Lake, you get some nice video. I'm recording stuff too. So it's just, there used to be a show called, was it called Power of the Crowd? And it showed all these different views of one thing happening. And I think that's what we really have today. So, people don't like the idea of Big Brother, but I think we already have it there with our phones and all of these cameras everywhere.
We are Big Brother.
Mhm.
And we have become Big Brother. We're surveilling each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People are surveilling us right now.
Indeed, they are, simply by watching us as we surveil ourselves. There's irony for you.
Right.
Being held to account too, as I look in the chat. Oh my! But a dark day for sure for Canada. The biggest mass school shooting in Canadian history unfolding at this secondary school in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. And Angie, with that, I'll throw it over to you for kind of a wrap up here tonight as we bring this to a close.
Yeah, I just think it's so devastating. And talking to my friend who does live in Fort St. John today, I think we all really need to reconnect with our kids, reconnect with community, take the frickin' phones. Like, here I say this as I'm looking up stuff on my phone while talking to you. The show I was talking about is Wisdom of the Crowd previously. I think we do have to disconnect from our phones and our computers and reconnect with ourselves, number one. If you have a higher power, obviously, with the people that live in your home, your neighbors. I think we've really disconnected things, and the cell phones and the algorithms really drive things. And I think we have to have a good hard look at that. All of this that's coming out on the media is devastating. How many good news stories when I used to read the news years ago, 20 years ago, I had to have a kicker story at the end. So it was an uplifting, kind of funny, jovial type thing. They don't have those anymore. And I think maybe that's part of it, right? Like, I think we gotta be grateful and be thankful for, you know, our health, people in our lives, because I think we're really losing. We're losing our sense of self and community with all of the technology we have out there. We are connecting in maybe the wrong ways. Need to disconnect and reconnect in person.
Yes, and we will reconnect with everyone tomorrow, when I'm sure we will have much more information on both of these stories. And I think we'll probably have some names of victims and maybe the suspected shooter in this mass school shooting out in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. And with that, folks, we will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, if not sooner, on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.